Hey everyone, it's Skylar. Welcome back to my channel, and we are on to day 11 of 31 days of November challenge month. Now, after doing a movie from each of the 1970s decades, I do have my piece of paper here. I am actually going to be doing day 11s today and day 12s tomorrow. It's sort of on the same lines. And I'm going to do a movie starring your favourite actor and actress from the 1970s decades. So today's challenge is I'm going to be doing the favourite actor from that decade, and I think you guys already know who I'm going to do. Hence his name surname is the same as mine, and his first name is Charles. So of course we are doing my favourite actor from the 1970 decade is of course Charles Bronson. And the movie I will be doing is Breakheart from 1975, and it was actually released Christmas Day of 1975. Directed by Tom Grease, produced by Jerry Gershwin and Elliot Kastner, written by Alistair MacLean, starring Charles Bronson as John Deacon, Ben Johnson as Sheriff Pierce, Jill Ireland as Marcia, Richard Crenna as Governor Fairchild, Charles Dunning as O'Brien, David Huddleston as Dr. Molyneux, Ed Lauter as Major Claremont, Bill McKinney as Reverend Peabody, Robert Tessier as Levy Calhoun, Eddie Littlesky as White Hand, Joe Capp as Henry, Archie Moore as Carlos, Scott Newman as Rafferty, Sally Kirkland as Jane Marie. Music by Jerry Goldsmith, cinematography by Lucien Ballard, edited by Byron Brandit, distributed by United Artists. The movie starts off with a train riding past, and then a man comes down then the steps and into a little building. Then out comes another man down the steps and up another steps into another building, then knocks on the door and a girl answers. Then the man walks away, then a train goes past and everyone gets off the train. Then a man is writing something down. Then the train pulls in and men get out of the train. Then a man rides into the town and lots of army men get off the train. Also, then a lady sees a man and the man follows the lady. Then two men are talking and one gives another a letter. Then other men are talking further along. Then a man and lady get out of the private part of the train and walk out and talk to another man and say this must be done as quick as possible. Then tells another man what's inside the letter. Then the train is getting refueled, and then a man opens the door and walks in and has a drink. Then other men are talking about trying to get on the train, but declines his offer and walks away. Three men are playing cards. Then the men are still waiting for the train to refuel. Then back at the bar, they are having a drink, and then a man wins a poker game and gets accused of cheating, then gets slapped, and then starts a fight. And then a manager shown a wanted poster. It's gets shown a wanted poster of a man and is a $2,000 reward for John Deacon's arrest. Then the train leaves and everyone is having a candlelit dinner, and then they gather round a room and talk some more. Then one of the men needs sleep and bids a good night, and then tells everyone that he's a specialist and everyone needs to stay on the train, and then goes to bed. And then they talk some more. Then the lady leaves and goes to bed herself and says, "What about him? Then he's going to be let go in the morning." But the lady tries to change his mind and goes to bed. Then John Deacon tries to free himself. Then a man goes to a lady's room and frightens her, and then the man holds her and says their relationship isn't a secret anymore, and then kisses and kisses her. They kiss, and then he kisses her hand and departs. John has finally set himself free, and the lady is away and sneaks out of her room. John is free and hides. Then the lady comes in and asks John for food, but he declines. Then offers him a drink and accepts, and drinks the drink and asks her to untie his legs, and reluctantly unties his legs, and he's now free. And the lady still sits down, and John knows that the lady's mum isn't well, and says the invitation comes by telegram. Then they continue to talk, and she ties him back up again, and she goes back to bed. Then it's morning, and the train is about to stop, but has to make the stop short. As the train turns the corner, it stops to make a check on the train and cargo and passengers. Then sends a telegram, and then gets one sent back. Then on the other end, 3 men come bursting in, shoot the army man, and one of the 3 men sends the telegram back, and one of the army men threatens one of the 3 men, and they ask for help. Then they send another telegram back to try and find others, but it's dead. Then they have to board the train, and the train departs again, and they're all having dinner, discussing things. Then the waiter walks past the kitchen and walks along the trains, knocks on the door and finds the doctor that he's had a seizure, and John goes to help and says he's been knocked out and struck a probe up his ribs, and says that there's a killer on board, and finds out that he's dead, and agrees with him. Then they stop again to refuel, and all walking out waiting, and John is keeping a lookout and looks around, finds a light. Then men are gathering wood for the train, and then John finds medicine covered over a box and covers it back over and walks away. Then goes to a room and hides a box, well it's actually the telegram box, and a pole, leaves it in the room. Then it's all aboard the train again, and off the train goes. Then the doctor is dead, and 2 officers are missing, and nobody knows anything. Then a man got thrown overboard, and the train is halted to a stop, and one man says somebody who knows about the doctor. The doctor should be able to help him, and looks down. Then John gets to the man and checks on him, and he's definitely dead, as every bone in his body was broken and had cuts to his head. Then everyone gets back on the train, and John asks something which he is granted, and goes to the driver's end of the train and looks around, past the logs, and finds whiskey. Then tells the officers and gets back on the train and departs once again, and then sees the cook and gives John some coffee. Then the 2 men talk about what's happening, as 2 men have been murdered, and then investigations has been led on. Then talk some more. Then John comes in and tries to establish what's going on. Then the train carries on, and then the carriage comes away from the other train, and the private carriage carries on forwards, and the men are scared as it's locked from the outside. Then the carriage loses control, but one of the men gets free and finds another man stabbed in the back, and then goes overboard and tumbles down the hill. and crashes in a pile of rubble. Then at the other end, the part breaks away and tries to get more replacements and asks to call the fort to get more supplies and finds out the spare telegram has gone. Then a man looks out of the window and finds a man and a horse and talks about the train. Then the train continues on in the night and then stops yet again. Then all talk more and John is in charge of the steam train and starts putting the wood into the fire and pulls some wood out and finds another dead body. Then John looks round the train and sees what else is going on and finds the driver drinking alcohol. And then John climbs into a carriage and wakes the man up, and he goes and looks around. Then John goes back to the dead man and gathers some things, climbs out of the train and connects the spare telegram machine and makes a call, then gives it to the men and tells them to get rid of the soldiers. And John says it's about time. It's almost morning, so they all board the train and prepare for departure, and then the train departs. John gathers some more wood for the fire and Carlos cooks some food, and then the men all gather round for some food, and then a man says he can't find the Reverend and then says that the train must continue, and the train continues on. Then John goes for a whiskey and the lady follows him and talks to him and asks who he is and what is he. Then other men come in and talk some more. Then a man pushes John, and the man says he's not a man of violence, but not a man of what he is. Then the train carries on, and John is walking at the back of the train and sees Carlos getting produce and walks back. Then John searches more things and finds the medicine panniers, opens one of them up and finds dynamite, takes some, closes the box, seals it and puts it back, then opens the coffin to find rifles, then hides again. Then the cook comes back in and gets more supplies and goes back out. Then John lights a lamp and the cook grabs a knife and looks in another coffin and sees a man dead. Then the cook and John have a fight and John escapes on the top of the train and Carlos follows him. Then throws snowballs at Carlos and they start to fight. John is on the ledge and so is Carlos now. Then they both get on top of the train and fight some more and Carlos is thrown from the train. John climbs back up and then a man is looking for Carlos and finds a man dead. Then John comes back on the train, then goes to the next carriage while John comes back down and goes to the lady's room and tells her to be quiet by covering her mouth. Then releases her and screams. She screams, then covers her mouth again and tells her not to scream, and she asks who he is, and tells her he works for the Secret Service and she reluctantly believes him. So he hides, and then a man knocks and asks where Deacon is, but he's nowhere to be seen and leaves. Then Deacon tells the lady to be on the lookout. Then a group of men with horses coming round with delight with spears. Then an officer talks with Deacon about the rifles and tells the lady to stay in her compartment and locks it. Then Deacon and the Major go on the lookout and finds the stolen rifles, dynamite and bullets, and shows him a body as well. Then opens another door, pulls a gun on him and turns a light off. Then Deacon goes on the roof and the driver's seat and tells him to move and asks him for the gun and tells him it's under the seat, gets the gun and tells two men to look behind the wood and finds two more bodies. Then the driver tries to move forward, but Deacon puts a gun on him. Then other men are talking about Deacon and wants to know why Deacon is driving them there. Then the driver continues to drive and gives him a wrench and hits a man with it, but the driver gets shot at and burned and falls off the train. Then two other men come on top of the train, and then Deacon and another man talk about who's involved except for the girl, and the Indians want all the ammunition and the guns. Then two men order Deacon to stop the train, does it and gets shot at, but then the train continues to move, and then the Indians gather round ready to attack the train. As the train passes by, then Deacon and the Major talk more. Then the Indians get ready to attack the train on foot and by horses, and sees the train pass by. Then the Major asks Deacon, "Where are they?" Then the Indians attack. Then the train abruptly stops and then starts the train again and jumps off the train, and then the Indians attack the train. Then Deacon asks the Major to throw the dynamite at the train tracks, so he does. So then the Indians board the train, and Deacon sneaks by some Indians and attacks them. Then the Major sets the bombs in place, and Deacon gets some horses and tells Deacon to go to the fort and saves everyone. Then the Indians sets the guns, the ammunition and dynamite off the train. Well, gets the guns, sorry. Then the others try to make the train go the other way. Then Deacon lights the dynamite and plants another dynamite and sets it off. Then the train is driving by, and the train gets blown up off the tracks. Then Deacon rides away on the horse, and the train stops, and all goes to investigate. Then others grab the guns and follow to find Deacon. Then Deacon plants another bomb. Then the other men ride to the train to see what is going on. Then Deacon is in hiding. Then a man finds a lady but doesn't know what is going on, and drags her along, and then gets told to let her go and is shot. The bombs continue to blow the train up, and Deacon is on the horse and is blowing the train up, and everyone is now after Deacon on horses and guns, and the lady is left behind. Then the Major slices a man, and others fall down from Deacon and the Major. Then Deacon goes on the train, and basically they're in retreat, and the army men go after them. They go to get retreated. Then the army men go after them. Then Deacon is face to face with the killer and asks him to put his gun down, and doesn't. So Deacon instead shoots him. Then climbs on board and sees the lady and asks if she's okay, and tells her that her father is waiting for her. Then keeps her warm, and they both leave together, and they both go and see her father, and she hugs him, and she's happy to see him alive. Then Deacon walks away to the end of the train, stands there, and then looks around, and then that's basically the end of the film. So my thoughts on this quickly. Charles Bronson stole the movie. I I loved every second of it. It's one of my it's now one of my favourite movies that he's done, breakheart pass now. And I just liked at first when people thought he was a bad guy, and then it turned around that he was actually working for the Secret Service, like in with the army and that. That was really good. To be honest, I just liked the whole aspect of the film, the way it was shot, the way it was set, the whole picture quality, cinematography, even the way it was shot, each in different scenes. And I liked the fact that near enough the whole movie was set on the train, and the train was always moving all the time. It was really fantastic. So, rating of this film, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Do you want to know the reason why I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10? Do you know what? Stuff it. It's getting a 10 out of 10. Because I just loved it. Every single part of it, from start to finish. There was no error for me in the film. I thoroughly enjoyed watching it. At the beginning it was a bit fast paced when I was writing stuff down, but other than that, fantastic film. And of course I enjoyed Charles Bronson in it, and that's why he's one of my favourite. He is my favourite actor of the 70s decade. So I hope you've enjoyed the review. Stay gory, have unpleasant dreams, and I'll see you soon. Ta-ta for now. Bye.